I'm going to come to you, Michael, first. You're the founder of SupplyWell. Little known fact about you as well, though, but you're a former professional footballer who played for some of the biggest clubs in the world. Which clubs did you play for, Michael?
Crewe Alexandra for a short, brief time.
Yeah.
And then kind of fell into semi-pro and non-league and whatnot.
But you played at Liverpool, you played at Anfield one game.
Played at Anfield, yeah.
How'd you get on?
We lost 5-2.
5-2. Look, I should thank you first of all, Michael, A, for joining us today, but also for stepping in for your business partner and wife, Raina, who unfortunately was unable to do it. The idea for SupplyWell came from your experiences as a teacher. You described it as, well, you described your wife as being like a teacher widow. Yeah. Just tell us a bit about your experiences on the front line as a teacher.
It's, Raina as being a teacher widow is essentially, we were like ships in the night. We didn't really have a relationship, and that was born out of the stresses and the pressures of being a teacher, essentially. And what happened to me is not a common tale. It's not a common story. Sorry, it is a common story. It's not uncommon, rather. That people within education will feel the pressures, the stresses, the strains, and they'll get to breaking point. And it's within teachers' natures to say yes to everything. And I ended up having to take 2 periods of absence out of teaching due to stress and mental health issues. And that's essentially where SupplyWell came from. And when I went off, I thought, what are my options? Could I be a supply teacher? And I looked at it and found very, very quickly that I couldn't earn anything close to what my wage was as a teacher by doing supply. And then obviously dived deeper into it and found that there's a hell of a lot of money leaving our education system into the pockets of private agencies who are gouging at both ends from teacher and school. Well,
it's interesting because I did some research. 1.3 million teacher days were lost over a 4-year period because of stress and mental health. Mm-hmm. Not because of the flu, not because of anything else. So it's a huge problem. I think you worked out that the agencies were charging, like, the schools £225, I think, for a supply teacher, of which the supply teacher was getting £85.
Well, there's a couple of things there. The first thing is that 1.3 million teaching days over 4 years, that's nationally. And that's just the stress and mental health well-being. Now that's teaching days. That equates to over 3,500 years, teaching years lost, just to stress and mental health well-being. And that's a staggering amount of time to be lost.
I felt I lost 3,500 years when I was at school as well, actually. But,
the big issue for us is, what impact does that have on teaching, and what impact does that have on the quality of learning? And quality teaching and learning that should never be compromised within an educational facility. But if you've got 3,500 teaching years lost due to stress and mental health issues alone, how can we address that? So that's something that we're really passionate about in terms of changing and turning around.
So SupplyWell came on, and then in terms of the premise of the business, you've got 16 schools signed up and increasing. You've got 150 teachers on the platform as well. So the idea would be that the school looks for a supply teacher, they go to your platform, they're guaranteed a set figure, and it costs the school a lot less money as well. Yeah,
well, there's a couple of things. Going back to your original point, it's 17 schools now. We've brought another one in today. Okay. And then I went to a school yesterday and found the head teacher said that she had a member of staff in on supply. And she knew this member of staff well enough because she taught with her previously at a different school. And she said to her, Margaret, can I ask you a personal question? How much are you taking home on a daily basis from us? And she said, £115. Why do you ask? And she said, because we're being invoiced £220. So agencies will take whatever they can. The bigger sum they can get, the bigger percentage they can get, they'll take it. There's very little morals within this system. So we're there to kind of change that. We'll charge a flat fee. Our platform will allow a school to search for a teacher for whatever discipline they want, for whatever experience that they will need, whatever time that they need. We charge a flat fee. Everything is transparent and it's upfront. And we'll set the day rate, which is a minimum day rate for the teacher based on their experience. So everything is linked. If you've got a teacher who's been teaching for 30 years, they'll be paid accordingly for that experience that they're offering to the students who they're going in to teach. The students know exactly what they're going to get, the teachers know what they're going to receive, and the school knows what they're going to pay. It's absolutely transparent, so we're changing the system.
Thanks, Michael. So you launched a business in Liverpool.
Yep.
Good move? Bad move?
Great move.
I'm glad you said that, Michael. What's been your experiences of launching the business, both in terms of recruitment, both in terms of the ecosystem that exists within here, and what do you want to see to take SupplyWell to the next level?
I think launching in Liverpool, we wouldn't be where we are now, and we've been going for 10 months. We wouldn't be on this list, and we wouldn't have the traction, and we wouldn't have the momentum that we've got now if we were in any other city in the UK. And I firmly believe that there's a real kind of togetherness within Liverpool, and there's a real system of support that's enabled us to grow to where we are. In terms of us getting to the next level, what we need is just to keep doing more of the same. I really do believe that. I think it's worked for us so far. The support that we've got in place through the LCR Activate program with Johnny Clark and the other guys who are working so hard for us on that aspect are really pushing us out and guiding us in the right direction. So I think we just need to keep doing exactly what we are to get to where we need to be.
Listen, keep up the good work. It's going to come to Tim Andrew now, CEO of Orcha. Orcha's at a different stage of your journey, more established, bigger company. It's the world's leading reviewer and evaluator of digital health apps, founded by Liz Ashwell-Payne, amazing entrepreneur. Just tell us a bit about the business, Tim, if you would.
Yeah, we kind of exist to, our mission statement is to get more people using digital health, good digital health tools. We think it's one of probably only a couple of things that are potentially game-changing in the fight to make healthcare more affordable across the world. But there's a real lack of uptake and activation within traditional healthcare settings. How often have any of you gone to the local GP and walked away with an app to help with whatever condition that there are? And yet there's 367,000 as of last week, I think, of these things available. But a lot of them aren't very good.
Am I right in thinking that like a third of them are like zombie apps? So somebody comes up with the idea for a health app, does nothing with it, but it sits there in the ether, and as a consumer, you don't know if it's good or bad, which is where Orcha comes in.
Yeah, so that's our term. The zombie nation. It's like the Tesco's what nobody ever goes to, and these products just sit on the shelves, but they haven't been touched. They're not looked after. And in the case of a health app, of course, that's pretty bad news. We won't review something that hasn't been updated within at least the last 18 months. And that's quite generous. NHS Digital have set the bar at 6 months, although they don't tend to fully enforce that. So yes, and approximately 15% of the over 5,000 apps that we've reviewed so far, only 15% meet what we would say are the minimum standards you'd expect to feel safe and comfortable using them. So there's a real attrition rate in a number of different ways.
In terms of your Liverpool story,
yep.
I think you started off at Baltic Triangle, then you went to Liverpool Science Park, you're now at Daresbury as well.
We just can't sit still.
Just can't sit still. What's been, every time you get that final invoice come through, you move somewhere else, don't you?
That's it. But, don't tell everybody where we went.
What is now at Daresbury, unit, what number, just so they know? What's been your experience of setting a business up in Liverpool? Because Liz is from Bolton, you could have set it up anywhere, couldn't you?
Yeah, so, in one sense, the real rationale for Liverpool started with our investors, Bill Curry and Sir Terry Leahy. So that was kind of, I suppose, the anchor point for us when we started in Liverpool. And obviously they're very keen to support local businesses. And they've supported us all the way through the journey so far. I think it's just been a case of each logical move has been driven by the growing business, the fact that the team was growing and we're being more diversely spread around. So Daresbury offered both a logistically sensible location, because we have a lot of people who are travelling and coming in and out, and therefore being in a city centre logistically was challenging. And also we're increasingly doing lots of work with the bigger organisations in Daresbury as well, such as the Hartree Centre, where we're doing quite a lot of work on AI-driven projects and the like. And so that we saw that community. I'd seen that community in action before as really a very attractive kind of example of a kind of digitally creative environment.
You just can't underestimate the importance of traffic, in terms of coming to city centres, whether it's Liverpool or whether it's Manchester. You want to see a bigger critical mass of those tech startups and moreover the scale-ups as well. Is that the next stepping stone for Liverpool City Region, in your view?
Yeah, I think the thing, it's like there's lots of jigsaw pieces, and each jigsaw piece is a valuable component, but we haven't put them all into a big picture yet. So I think we're still slightly less than the sum of our parts. We could be more, we could be greater than the sum of our parts if we could connect some of the components a bit better.
We heard from Johnny at Activate to Liverpool John Moore University, trying to create and is creating those links between academia and business, and especially tech. I mean, you've gone elsewhere, haven't you, in terms of what you've had to do in terms of your links with academia. How important is that?
Yeah, I mean, we've ended up, we're expanding internationally, and it happened to be the first academic organisation we really found who were kind of wanting to work with us and do research and those sorts of things was in Holland. And so we've, our kind of first academic partner is the Netherlands Living Lab based out of Leiden University. And I do find that slightly kind of bizarre and a little bit kind of disappointing given the amazing universities that we have on the doorstep. But I suppose we live in a little weird world of, so digital health to an extent doesn't fit neatly into traditional academic disciplines, and actually that means that navigating our current university systems and finding people who are interested in the space we're operating in was quite difficult.
And in terms of right now, you employ 30 people. You're turning over £1.5 million as well. You've expanded into Holland. You're running a pilot scheme in Israel. How important is it for tech companies from Liverpool, in Liverpool, to look international as well?
Well, I think we heard earlier about the importance. If you want to, there's a certain market size for us, and in the UK, in the NHS, we're already supporting 30% of the NHS in the UK. So there's a limited growth potential. I mean, there is a lot of growth potential even within the UK. But if you want to really, for our business, there's only really room for, we're the only ones that do what we do, and the opportunity is therefore global, and it would be a shame not to take advantage of that. So I think different, horses for courses, but for us, we needed to expand globally.
Okay, thanks very much. Last speaker today, Carl Wong, co-founder and CEO of LivingLens. Big raps for you earlier today. Massive build-up for you, Carl, so I know you're going to be good. For those people who don't know, and there must be one person in the room who doesn't, what does LivingLens do?
So we work in the consumer insight and customer experience industry, which is one of those things that most people don't know anything about, but it's gigantic. Those surveys that we all get that nobody fills in. That's one of those. Companies are spending lots of money on that. So we allow those companies to allow people like us, consumers, to feedback via video instead of filling in surveys. And then when we've gathered that video, we do clever stuff with it. We turn it into data. So what people say, we use machine speech recognition in 30 languages and turn that into searchable text. We do facial emotional analysis, so we can strip out the emotions and the engagement that you've got throughout your feedback. And object and context recognition. Where are you? What are you doing? And what type of environment you're in? And our clients use that essentially in two major ways. One is deeper insight. All of the world's biggest companies are striving to understand what makes people tick more deeply so they can develop better products and services and drive greater revenue. So we enable them to unlift or surface a clearer idea about what drives behaviour, and more fundamentally, we enable them to tell great stories. So, we're all surrounded by death by PowerPoint and big data. We humanise feedback. We enable you to get from this much video to meaningful moments and stories really, really quickly.
It's a big challenge, isn't it?
It drives change. It drives change.
People talk about big data, but it's only useful if you can convert it into a language and make decisions based on that. Look at some of the customers you've worked with. Deliveroo would be one as well. Procter & Gamble. I mean, you've worked with some massive companies, haven't you?
Yep. The world's biggest brands aren't gigantic by accident. Lots of them are innovative. They're forward-thinking. They're trying to do the very, very best that they can do and be the best in the world, and that's what we're trying to do. And when you, it's hard getting the right entry point, it's hard building the relationships, but when you've got something that can add value and you have other clients who can tell companies that on your behalf, and you've got clear use cases and a lot of fantastic people working their asses off, then yeah, that's what we do.
You're based in Liverpool, but it's not the only office you've got. You've got New York, you've got Toronto as well, you've got London. London. Was Liverpool the natural place to launch the business?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I've lived around the UK, and I would always come back home to start the business. It's not the first business I've started, or indeed ended, but Liverpool is a fantastic home for our business because it's full of, the values of our company are a reflection of the people of Liverpool. It's about graft and hard work, it's about hustle, it's about supporting each other, it's about humour, and it's about doing the best you can do, but having a ball at the same time. And that's what LivingLens is about, and that's true in London, in New York, Toronto. Everybody in our business is bound by those values, and that seeded the heart of our business is Liverpool.
You said that the one thing Liverpool businesses, tech companies mustn't do, some of those companies on that list mustn't do, is set their expectation to be the best in Liverpool, the best in the Northwest, the best in the UK. They've got to raise the bar.
Yeah. For me, Liverpool is a fantastic place to build a technology business because it's a fantastic platform into the rest of the world. You can build your capabilities here. You can build your support networks. You can't really get funding here. But if you want to, I want LivingLens to be the best in the world. And I think we've got such great businesses in this city and great people in this city we have these artificial boundaries that are about Liverpool or the Northwest, or even the UK. Tim was saying before, your market, you need to be global. But why wouldn't you be global? The world's a small place. There's an uncertainty and a fear about going somewhere new, but you get over that. You get stuck in and you meet people and you can learn from, I think Ben and Johnny were saying earlier, other people have been down that road. And if you can tap into that know-how and knowledge and build that network, and you can make shortcuts, you can build bridges, you can get stuff done.
You're on that climber list. You've raised £5 million so far. How easy have you found it to raise money? And also, not only that, because one of the issues that's come out, and it came out in the Climbers Report, which will be emailed into everyone's inbox first thing tomorrow morning, just in case you've forgotten. Worth getting up for that. But just in terms of, people have spoken about they want the funding ecosystem to be signposted. That would be a benefit. Where do you go to? What was your experience, Todd?
So, just like Sarah and Katie, I had an idea, not got a tech background, gone and got some prices. Computer says no. Scoped it on the kitchen table, and spent our life savings, me and my co-founder, and built a prototype that worked if 2 people used it, did not work if 3 people used it. Fact. Real, that's a fact. And realised we needed a lot more money, and had absolutely no idea where to go for that. No idea. No one to talk to about it. No point of direction. This was 5 years ago. So I went on a government-funded course, which is part of a thing called Growth Accelerator at the time. I went on this module called Access to Finance, and I very purposely did not go on it in Liverpool. I went on it in London because I knew there'd be other people on that course who were networked in a way that I wasn't, and it opened up a whole world that David and I still call Narnia. It exists. There is a lot of money in London. And there's an absolute way to play the game. It is a learned skill. It is something that you can get better and better at with support. And that's where we got our early funding. We managed to blag our way onto an accelerator called Collider, which was just like Activate. Give you all that great support and direction. Because you don't know what you're doing, but they also gave us 100 grand in exchange for equity. And without that, there's no way we'd get anywhere.
It's got one final question.
hard.
I think, sorry,
go
just
on.
one I was going to get into, because obviously we're 5 years behind you in terms of where we are, and the landscape, I think, has massively changed. The support and the guidance that we've had from the Activate programme, I don't necessarily think that needs to be signposted better. I think they need more resources.
Yep.
I think the skills and the abilities and the innovation and the ideas are here. They're in Liverpool, and there's people who need that. But you go to Johnny and his team, and they're one person and one team. And I think if they had more resources behind them, think about the growth that could take place. And I don't necessarily think it's signposting. I think it's where's the commitment to back those guys and to back them to really develop the growth and to really enable those people to innovate those ideas and to really make Liverpool a hub like there is in London, because it can happen, because the people here will make it happen.
Yeah, no, and people talk about people talk about Cambridge as well. I want to ask Carl one more question, but have we got any questions for the final panel? The question I want to ask you is that we were talking earlier, and you said that what you'd like to see in Liverpool is for the public sector to have a private sector mentality. So, well, I think I know what you mean, but I don't want to put words in your mouth. What do you want?
So we've been supported by a whole range of different organisations on our journey, and remain supported by them, whether that's companies like Creative England or Tech City, or to be honest, there's a range, and they've changed over time. And we've also been supported by a whole bunch of entrepreneurs and angels and advisors. And for me, my experience, and I'm just a sample of one, this isn't necessarily everybody's experience at all, but there's just a different mentality. In the private sector, you've got to do a cracking job, and you've got to do it well, and you've got to demonstrate that, and it's measurable. And if you don't, you're out. Go and get a new job, because somebody else can do it more accountably. There isn't enough accountability in the public sector. There isn't enough resource in the public sector, and it's not signposted well enough. So we've gone and made it happen. I echo what you said before, Ben. We've made it happen, and that's what anybody who's building a business has to do. No one's coming to you. All this. I almost went into politics then. Yeah. No one's coming to you. It's about you to make it happen, and there's great resource out there, but the public sector needs more. Needs to show up more.
Yeah, try to avoid politics too much today, which I think we've done. It's amazing how quickly the time goes when we have fun and we get great speakers as well. Massive thank you to you, Carl. Massive thank you to the two of you, Tim, as well, and thanks, Michael, for joining us today. Thanks very much for Praetura. Thanks very much for Activate for sponsoring the event today. Thanks very much for everyone in the room turning up, because I think you're right, Ben, in terms of this is a stepping stone. What's nice is how many companies who weren't included on the list have said to me, why weren't we included on that list? So you want to create that sort of competition, that healthy competition, so that we can build on it as well. Now, I'm not sure if this stage will hold up to it, but the photographers have asked that if all the companies are either on the climbers list, the 27 companies on the climbers list, or the 8 companies on the ones to watch, can join us on the stage for a photograph. So if you can join us now. Thanks very much to everyone. Just to remember, tomorrow morning, when you look in your inbox, Christmas will come early. Thank you very much.